He's going all the way. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown. Texas Tech takes home the victory.
All right, welcome into the Broadway Shuffle. On today's episode, Cam Coleman chooses Texas over Texas Tech, and Texas Tech basketball survives a thriller against Colorado to improve to 2-1 in Big 12 play. As always, I am Brennan Baxter, pleased to be joined by Zyler Buchanan, Clayton Anderson, and the one and only Conrad Mills. Conrad, Cam Coleman, man, we had a bunch of reaction episodes to Texas Tech's portal. The rumors were hot that he was in Lubbock. He obviously enjoyed his time in Lubbock, went to Las Brisas, but ended up choosing the Texas Longhorns. Your thought on Cam Coleman choosing Texas over Texas Tech?
Yeah, as Miley Cyrus would say, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. And that's what happened with Cam Coleman, man. He made a mistake. No, in all seriousness, he could not have, bummed he's not coming to Tech, right? Like we're bummed. We wanted him desperately. I think it would have been really cool to see him, Micah Hudson, Brendan Sorsby, Terrence Carter, all this, that would have been great. Didn't work out that way. He chose to go to Texas. Again, not the decision that I would have made, not the decision that any of you guys would have made, but it is what it is at this point. So wish nothing but losses upon him next year. But at the same time, can't control it,
Clayton, the amount, the dollar figure there on his NIL contract has been rumored to be close to $3.5 million. Do you think this was a money issue where Texas Tech didn't necessarily want to meet the asking price, or he just ended up choosing the Longhorns based off fit?
I definitely don't think it was money for the reason that he did not choose Tech. I think that, obviously without inside information, I feel like Tech had the highest offer on the board, and then they gave UT a chance to match it, and UT did match it. That's basically what I would suspect that happened. I know that UT fans probably think that he's taking less money to go play with Arch Manning in Austin, but I personally don't think that's what happened. But I don't think that money is the reason that Tech lost. I think he just ultimately chose UT over Tech for things other than money.
Well, it can't be quarterback. Surely, Tyler. Can't be quarterback. Where does Texas Tech go from here, Z? The receiver core, is still kind of, you did lose a lot in the portal. You've added some guys, obviously, in the portal as well, too. But you were really hoping to land Cam Coleman as your true number one. And now the available options in the portal are fairly thinned out. Where do you think this leaves Texas Tech with the wide receiver room? And where can we potentially look for any last-minute additions here with the last week of it being the transfer window?
Man, you know that I don't have a ton of inside scoop on this. The thing that I think is a bummer is you had placed a lot of your eggs in this basket, and there are plenty of guys I think you could have gotten. Amarian Miller, Terrell Anderson. I think Eric Singleton might have been an option for you. Those are guys that are committed elsewhere that you may have a tough time. You can't snag them. Now, the thing that I would say is who's in the portal right now is not who might be in the portal by the end of the window. So there's still opportunities, but you forget, the semester starts soon for most of these schools. You're going to have something wrapped up, or you're rolling with, the group of Dante Lee, the Jones kid from the FCS ranks, and, Micah Hudson and the Kenny Johnson, I believe, from Pitt.
From Pitt, Coy Aiken. Which I don't know about you guys. I think on paper that's a worse group than last year. I think I would say that's a worse group. I think it has some upside, but I would grade that as not a serious downgrade, but a material downgrade in most. Even if it has Micah Hudson, if he hits his potential, it's much better. But I think you will be looking for an additional wide receiver. I would be shocked if you don't add a pretty serious name. So the way this window works compared to the previous years is that this ends on the 16th, and this is the only transfer portal window. It's not like there's another spring window that opens up, barring a coach getting fired, where you have like a David Bailey situation where then you can open up and players can leave that program. So you've got about 4 days for any last-minute additions, and there were some guys even today, like Isaiah Horton from Alabama. We were kind of rumored to potentially be on. He commits to A&M, and so there are definitely not as many options as you would have had, and you've kind of waited for Cam Coleman this last 5-6 days, so it will be interesting. You mentioned Micah Hudson, though, Conrad, and that's where my mind kind of goes to, okay, you lost out on a 5-star that you were hoping to get, but you do have one on the roster that you're hoping elevates his game to what you thought he was when you brought him in prior to 2024. So
this does leave an opportunity for Micah Hudson to be the clear-cut number one guy that we were hoping he would be. And it seems like now is his time to go and grab that mantle if you don't get a guy like Cam or someone of his caliber.
Yeah, I think for me, the only guy that would have really supplanted Micah in terms of, role and what he could potentially be for you would have been a guy like Cam Coleman. I mean, maybe Isaiah or Horton would have been an option. Maybe, some of these other guys. There's a guy from Oregon rumored to go in the portal. We'll see if that happens. I don't know. But looking at Micah, it's going to be interesting to see, does he finally live up to all his potential? I think he will. I think he's going to be the featured guy. I think he's, come back, done everything asked of him. And he's going to be that guy for you next year. I think Sorsby and him will have a great connection. I think he'll play really well in the slot. I would hope is where he would be potentially, or I think that's the best spot for him. Outside, not that he can't do that, but he's not the same. He doesn't have the same speed that some of these other guys do. And so seeing him, fulfill his potential, I think would be something that would really excite me. And I do think it's going to happen, right? Like I think, Tech fans were so, all of us included, myself included, after he left, were so concerned and just like, whatever, it's his fault and all these things. And it's like, yeah, I mean, he's 18 years old. Like, did things go the way they were supposed to from his side, from Tech's side? No, but I think that speaks a lot to him and a lot to his character that things were able to come back together. And the fact that he was willing to be a backup this year and then come into the starting role, hopefully next year, and showcase who he is. I think that'll be really good for him and good for the football program as well. So I think it'll be good. I'm not worried necessarily, but I do think he will hit his full potential. Clayton, do you think that it'll be likely that happens, or would you say maybe hold up with the Micah Hudson optimism?
I mean, I guess it depends on what you view as like his full potential. I do think he'll be very good, and I think Zyler hit the nail on the head with like the upside of next year's wide receiver group is probably higher, but floor is definitely lower. But I mean, if Hudson hits and then Chase Campbell is like playable as a freshman, you can definitely see there's definitely a world where like next year's receivers are better. And I think they have traits that maybe lead to like more separation, guys being more open. And you have a different you have the QB run game now that opens things that way too. So I think in the aggregate, you could end up with a better passing offense, even if like on paper, the receivers look worse than last year's group.
Zyler, the Terrence Carter announcing he's returning is now playing even a bigger role because that guy became your go-to receiver this year and is your most athletic and dynamic guy out of that whole position group. I know he's a tight end, but he's so athletic for a tight end. So getting Terrence Carter back, you expect him to kind of be your number one guy potentially, if it's not Micah?
It's tough in the Leftwich scheme for the number one to be the tight end. I think he might be the most important pass catcher. I don't know if he will lead in catches and yards. I think the thing that I have to remember is on paper, Sorsby is a massive upgrade at QB, and that's no disrespect to Barron. It's just Barron got hurt, and there's different things. Your running back room is better than it was last year. Your offensive line should be better than it was last year. You use Carter and Jados. You're going to bring back your redshirt freshman right tackle and Jacob Ponton, who should be better. Your good left tackle Howard Sampson comes back, and your Sheridan Wilson comes back. You're going to have Cash Cleveland probably at one of the guard spots, and then one of your younger, should be at worst a wash. Tight end got better. Maybe if wide receiver still takes a step back, but you still got Bryson Jones, 4-star player. Michael Dever, borderline 4-star player. Chase Campbell. Leighton Stone, now they're younger and they're unproven. And I've seen plenty of shows that talk about, well, there's these young, unproven, talented guys on our roster that are going to take a big step. It doesn't always happen like that. I mean, we saw it already, like Kelby Valson, TJ West, young guys that I was excited for 2 years, and they are no longer on your roster. They're playing for FAU and UTSA. So stuff like that happens. I still think I would be shocked if your offense is worse than it was last year if you stopped adding players right now. And I still think you'll go at a guy. But it's been a very successful portal haul thus far. No doubt about it.
And I do think that, we are truly not, it's easy to talk about it right now, but we're not, like you said, Zyler, fully realizing the upgrade at quarterback. Just having a mobile quarterback in there that's played as many snaps as Sorsby has. Again, no disrespect to Barron, but he was not very mobile. He was not very able to get out of things and make things happen with his feet. And so now that you have a guy who's very experienced and who can do that really, really well, that's going to speak volumes for the success of your offense next year.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I mean, you say worse, like this was a bad offense. I mean, I know that's not what you mean. And it wasn't a bad offense. It looked bad, obviously, in your last game of the year. You put up a goose egg, but you're still returning a very talented group, even with Coy and Micah and Terrence Carter. And you mentioned the running back room. So the offense, we hope, improves with Brendan Sorsby. And then some of these guys you brought in, like you mentioned, Jalen Jones out of Alabama State, Kenny Johnson out of Pitt. You know, there's some guys you're obviously hoping take a step forward. And Dante Lee out of Liberty. So it is going to be an interesting group. I did want to transition to this and be like, now that we're, it looks, you might add some pieces this week towards the end, but for the most part, you've got everyone in the building that you're probably going to have. So I just wanted to throw this around. If you had to grade the addition, so if you're grading Texas Tech's transfer portal up to this point, what grade would you give it? Z, I'll start with you.
So I'll say like net additions minus guys that you lost. I think it's an A- for me. I think there were some things that you wanted to have happen, and this is an impartial grade. I'm kind of grading with your being 80% done with the test. I think you wanted offensive line help. I think you clearly wanted wide receiver help, and I think you wanted a different style pass rusher than what you got in Trey Wilson and remind me, Adam
Or Trey White.
Trey White.
Yeah.
I think you wanted more of a speed rusher. Both those guys are more power rushers than they are speed. So, but you still got really, really good players. And it's so easy to forget because it felt like it's a decade ago. Think about where LSU is with their quarterback position and think about where you are. Such a massive coup getting Brendan Sorsby. The options after that got really unproven and really risky. That's not to say there weren't good quarterbacks, but I mean, who is LSU trotting out there next year?
Right.
Like who knows?
Sam Levitt's yet to commit, but it doesn't seem like he's going to LSU based on the fact that he hasn't already committed there. So you're right.
Did y'all see that sorry, real quick, that Snapchat story that was going around Twitter?
No.
There was a waitress that claimed that she was waiting on Levitt and Levitt's family and Kiffin at their visit, and like they had a big blow up in the middle of dinner, and like the Levitts left. I don't know if it's true, but that's alleged.
I believe it. That's
Yeah,
all.
I believe it.
Everything on the internet is true. Never forget.
Yeah.
Conrad. Here's the rule. If it's funny and it impacts somebody that I don't care about, I believe it without any source.
It's 100% true. It doesn't matter what it is. So A- for Z. Clayton, I would go more like Cam Coleman would have given you an A+ for sure, but anything outside of an A- seems like you'd probably be a little too harsh a critic. I mean, you got a ton of talent on the defensive side of the ball too, outside of just what you're able to bring in offensively.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go A- as well. Like I was teetering, like considering maybe a B+, but I mean, On3 still has you as the number one portal class, and I think Zyler's exactly right. Like getting Sorsby alone is probably enough for an A. I think just that, and if you had to win one of those battles between Sorsby or Cam Coleman, you'd obviously take Sorsby 100 times out of 100. And then also replacing J-Rod with like the best possible replacement, Romaine. I think those two specifically, I got to give it an A-, knowing that I still think we're going to bring in a couple like big time, like starter level players. If we end up with Coy Parrish and another receiver, that would be like our receiver one. I think it easily goes up to A+.
Yeah, and again, I mean, we got a whole week of this still, so it's not over, and we'll be here to react to everything. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Spotify so you don't miss any of our episodes. But Conrad, I feel like your love for Brendan Sorsby, man, I feel like with you getting the guy at QB probably gives you minimum an A. Am I right?
Yeah, it's an A for me. I mean, like Clayton said, I was just looking at On3's rankings, and being the number one portal class means a lot, right? Like, I mean, these guys, we're just four fans here talking, and we may pretend to be analysts sometimes, not as much as some other people, but it's something that we do for fun. And for me, seeing a guy like Brendan Sorsby commit and be a part of this team and be one of the leaders of this team is good. It just means so much. You can't quantify it with words. There's so many intangibles with a guy like that you're going to see play itself out on the field, on the sidelines next year. And getting a guy like that to where you can feel quarterback is not going to be the reason that we don't reach our potential next year. Like it's just not. And I know the Barron conversation has been well documented. Again, great player, great Red Raider. Appreciate him so much. But Brennan Sorsby plays for you with this team against Oregon. We may be sitting here having a different conversation right now. And that's no disrespect to Barron at all. If I'm crazy on that, you guys tell me. But getting a guy at this level with this much talent around him, I think that's what people don't understand is like the Cincinnati team that he was on last year and the year before that, compared to what he's going to have now at Texas Tech, night and day. Like you're going to see a level of Brennan Sorsby you have not seen yet in his career because of what he's surrounded with. And so for me, with Brendan, obviously other guys, I'll give it an A.
Yeah, I think I'm going A too. When I look at what you added in terms, Zyler, you mentioned a great point. Like, what did you lose? And not just in the portal, but also in graduation. So when you talk about Lee Hunter and Jacob Rodriguez and Cole Wisniewski and some of these guys, and you mentioned Coy Perch, Clayton, who from Minnesota hasn't committed yet at the time of this recording, very much still in on him. But I mean, you look at the guys with Austin Romaine and Mateen Ibarogba, I believe is the correct name.
Nice,
Bryce
Brennan.
Now, hey, I'm working, man. I'm working. I'm a true
professional.
A true professional here. Yeah, it's tough, man. Tough to do. I just pulled it up so I could read it. I'm trying to read it like I was in first grade. And then you've got obviously guys like Bryce Butler and some of these guys, Julian Lavenshire from Akron. So you got guys that you needed to fill voids, and then Adam Trick as well. And so I'm looking at this team. And then you see what you're able to retain, because I think it's important to recognize, like, you kept Bryce Pollock, you kept Terrence Carter, you kept all of the running backs. These guys could have entered the portal and left too. So you kept a lot of the talent that you were able to keep this year that made huge impacts for you. So for that, I'm going to give it an A on an overall compass. And then obviously Conrad did such a great job talking about Brendan Sorsby and what that brings to the table. And so what you did is, I would have been more concerned had you not gotten a lot of the defensive pieces, because that was your calling card for you making the playoff this past season. And the fact that you're able to get a lot of those guys that hopefully will be able to produce, that gives me an A.
We're going to have, Conrad, we're going to have a ton of time to talk about this. So I don't want to get too deep. If we said this year's defense was top 2, what is your kind of floor expectation for next year? And what's kind of your like median outcome? Where do you think next year's unit? Because for me, it's like top 12-ish.
I think that's fair.
I don't
Floor or median?
I think that's like my median outcome. Like I think I could see it being like top 5 again. I don't think that Trick and Wilson or Smith, are even close to height and
Bailey
to me.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I don't know. That is my untrained, stupid,
that's fair,
evaluator eyes.
I don't know, man. It's hard. If you would have told me 4 years ago, we're sitting here having this conversation of, well, are we going to be a top 15 defense for the second straight year? I'd be like, sign me up. Where do I sign and when do we start? I'll probably say, I mean, floor. I mean, this is like worst case scenario, 25. Like floor. Like
that feels really reasonable.
Worst.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's reasonable.
Worst.
I think that's reasonable.
Top end, like
1.
ceiling. No, it can't be. Like I'm not gonna be that guy. Maybe you can be. Maybe 7 or 8. Like I think that's I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Texas Tech plays defense. Don't forget.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably echo the same things. I think there is still a world where you could close on a couple guys. Like, it sounds like we're not really in on the Missouri edge, Damon Wilson. But like, if you were to somehow get him and Coy Parrish, I think there is a world where you're like close to as good as last year. But I think it's unlikely that everything pans out that way.
Yeah.
Or if you get Skylar Gill-Howard back, I think that's a huge.
That's another addition too. That if he's able to retain his status, and it's going to be interesting. And it's only January. We obviously have got a lot of time to talk about this in spring ball, but it's exciting, man. I can't wait. I do want to transition us to basketball with Texas Tech finding a way, against Colorado, 73-71 there in Boulder. You looked in control most of the game, then all of a sudden you weren't, but yet you found a way to get it done. Your thoughts on the grit of Texas Tech? I mean, after the Houston loss and the physicality in that game, You're still coming in pretty thin, but you found a way to get a win. Your thoughts?
My experience with that game was when my wife and my kids, when we watch basketball games, there's kind of this unwritten rule that daddy doesn't really like play with the kids while the basketball game's going on. Not in like an absentee father kind of thing, but as in like
Wow.
just like, hey, this is what we're doing. We're hanging out, we're doing stuff, but like you got to remember the game's on. And about 15 minutes left, I was like, you know what? We're not doing that. Like I'm getting it. Like we're not watching the game anymore. We're doing this. And then all of a sudden I had to flip the switch back off. And it was just such an uncomfortable viewing experience for the last like 10 minutes of that game where there's like, surely we are not. And I think a lot of it wasn't like when you listen to Grant afterwards, I think he's frustrated, but I don't think he was really mad at his team. I think a lot of that was, some of it was your own stupid errors, the turnovers, but they got real hot and they started hitting free throws and you started getting some ref ball going. And I think I was incredibly impressed with Atwell. I was incredibly impressed with your ability to get timely buckets. I mean, you got one more than you needed, and that was good enough to win. Just very impressed with the resiliency. I am very impressed with Atwell. That was my biggest takeaway last night. He's very steady, just an excellent performer, always in the right spot, not an elite athlete, but really plays hard. And I thought he was great for you last night, and he was a difference maker. Your team's not perfect, but you'll take a Q1 road win in the Big 12, and you won't complain about it. That's kind of my summary.
Yeah, 5 threes for Atwell, Clayton. And then you're looking at, top end 16 and 13, Watts 11 and 11, Christian Anderson 15 points, 3 assists. And they all, this I found this interesting, 14 field goals for Toppin in terms of attempts, 14 for Watts, 13 for Anderson, 15 for Atwell. Like it was so well distributed. They all shot relatively good from the floor too. And so you are relying really on 3 to 4 guys, and you're kind of hoping maybe Brian will find a way to get going, and Petty started to play well. But I said it, I think maybe it was last week, but that this team just needs to find a way to win some games, like beat who you're supposed to beat and just try to get to March healthy. I'm not really that concerned with seeding when you've got guys like Toppin and Anderson. But overall, it seems like Texas Tech, compared to the construction of the roster now, you are meeting expectations, yes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think so, but like you have one of the best players in the sport and you have one of the best point guards in the sport. It seems like we should be able to not struggle with a team like Colorado, and that's no disrespect to them, but I do like the fight that I've seen from the team, like since the Arkansas game. I feel like from that point forward, it does seem like they have more of like a hunger and fight to win the games, and they're obviously relying on like 6 players, which is tough, especially in altitude. So I like where we're headed. I don't know if I feel great about this team right this second, but I think you just need to get healthy. And I feel like Grant obviously knows more than I do, but I think he kind of has to let Brian just play through his mistakes right now. Like, to me, this is unsustainable, and that leads to some of these collapses that we've seen. You got to get some other guys minutes, and if it were me, I would just let Brian play and hopefully figure it out. And if not, you're getting rest for other guys.
Dude, you need Mosley back. I feel like so bad. Like a 6'8" slasher that could score off the dribble would be so helpful for this roster. Like if you had a Watts sub, you wish you could see the roster fully constructed, because you've got your best defensive player and your probably most athletic player that are out right now. And I think that really hurts you when these teams go on offensive runs, is you don't have a shutdown defender on this roster that's healthy right now. And I think that really hurts you.
Yeah, Conrad, Clayton brings up a great point that these guys are playing 35 plus minutes a game. And at some point, especially in the gauntlet that is the Big 12 conference in basketball, you're just going to get worn down. I mean, you got to have enough bodies. You can't play 6 guys in this conference. You do have a couple days off. You get Utah Wednesday night in Lubbock, and then you get BYU on Saturday. So it's Mormon week in Lubbock, Texas this week. So it's going to be interesting. But your thoughts on the health of the team and where you think Texas Tech needs to go just the next week or two? You get 2 home games, hopefully find a way to get both done. But where do you think Texas Tech should go in terms of roster depth?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that it stinks, because we were so high on this team coming into the year, and we still are high on them, right? Like, I mean, Toppin and Anderson, I mean, like, that's one of the best players in the sport, one of the best point guards in the sport. I mean, you've got all the talent. Talent's not the question. The problem and the frustration part of, this for me and for Tech fans is, man, if we could just be healthy. Like you can't see this roster fully constructed. And I think, fans, if you're going to lose, you're going to lose some more games. Like that's just the reality of the situation. I mean, you're playing these amount of guys playing this amount of minutes. It's not sustainable. It's just not. And so you just really need to get healthy. And if you can do that, I think that'll be a really big deal for this team going forward. But if you can get both Utah and BYU, which in football you did, so hopefully you can in basketball, and then we can say Texas Tech owns the state of Utah. I think that'd be pretty funny. But we'll see what happens there. I think it's possible, even likely. But I will say I'm just – it's hard for me to really get too high or too low just with the roster the way it is right now.
Yeah, and Utah coming in losers of 4 straight, 8-8 on the year. So you're hoping that's a game where you can take care of business pretty early. Then you've got clearly one of the best teams in the country, and BYU coming in Saturday. It's going to be a doozy for sure.
I feel way better about beating BYU than I do beating a team like Arizona or Iowa State. I think you can play BYU's style of ball. Like they don't bully you physically in the way that I think Arizona is going to, or the way they're like Houston a little bit of years past, where it's just like we cannot rebound. That Arizona team looks very, very, and I know they're number 1 in the country. That's not going to be
for a reason, yeah.
But they're doing this stuff without like shooting the 3 ball. They just like get great buckets and they defend. Like they are going to be very tough.
Yep.
I think you play with BYU.
And you don't get Arizona or Iowa State at home. You go at Arizona on the 14th of February, then you go at Iowa State on the 28th of February. You get neither of those teams at home. So you've got to go to the number 1 and number 3 team in the country as of today on the road in the conference.
Just give me one. Just give me
if
one.
You could split one of those, that would be fantastic. So
yep.
It's going to be a great week, man. It's sad that the portal week is kind of coming to a close here, but we'll be here to break it all down as well. But I don't want to let go of football yet. Like I know basketball is doing well and you're right, but I'm not ready to let go of football. So
maybe it's because it was the best season in Tech history.
It was, and we're going to double it. We're going to be this year's Indiana in 2026. You just wait for it, man. You mentioned, Conrad, that maybe if you had a different quarterback, we would still be here. And I'm like, probably not today. Like we might have been.
We would have just gotten to get blown out by Indiana.
Yeah, we probably just would have got blown out by Indiana.
We didn't talk about those games. No, you're 100% right. We would have gotten blown out by Indiana. Indiana's going to blow out Miami. It's going to be bad.
I don't think this is a real thing. There's a world where Indiana is like cheating. Like it's that improbable. It's legitimately shocking, and it defies everything about roster building. You know that on most power rating sites, this is considered like the best team of the 21st century.
Yeah,
and they have 7 blue chip players.
That is false. That is the biggest lie I think I've ever heard.
Dude,
they would not even come close. They would not even come close to beating LSU. 2019
based
LSU.
On what? Based on what?
Do you want me to? How much time do you have? Because I can read you the LSU resume.
It's not even,
we'll be here for a while,
dude. It's like this is power rated, where it's like this is computer, no subjectivity. It's going to be the best strength of record, the best resume, and the best power rating of all time if they beat Miami.
You can't. You're slandering Conrad Joe Burrow. You can't do it.
I'm with you. Like
Yeah.
I hear you.
There was a guy. Here, keep talking.
That's just what I'm saying.
No, Zyler, have you seen the? They've gotten an interception on the back to your cheating thing. They've gotten an interception on the first 2 plays of a game like 5 different times this year.
And I'm not saying like
how does that happen?
Improbable things can happen. Like when Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue, it was not because they were cheating. Like improbable things happen. It's just like this is such a massive outlier. Them winning the title would be the most shocking thing for a roster to do since probably 2002. And it's unbelievable. And it's not like they're going to fluke their way into it. They are beating the absolute, just spanking teams.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Conrad.
It's fun to watch, though. I got to be honest. I am enjoying like the beauty of which the sport is being played by Indiana across special teams, defense, offense. Mendoza is what does he have? 5 incompletions in 2 games? Like it's crazy.
It's crazy. You know? This is not my list. This is PGuy77 on Twitter and LSU Insider. Reasons why 2019 LSU is the greatest team of all time. 7 wins over top 10 teams, the most in FBS history. Not once did an opposing.
I'm
just reading what he said. Not once did an opposing team have the ball with a chance to tie the game in the fourth quarter. Number 3, Joe Burrow had the only 6,000-yard season in FBS history. Number 4, Joe Burrow is the only player in Power 5 history to throw 60 touchdowns. 5, Joe Burrow's 65 total touchdowns is the most in FBS history. 6, Joe Burrow won the Heisman by the largest margin in the history of the award. 7, beat Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, Lincoln Riley, Jimbo Fisher, and Dabo Swinney. 8, scored the most points
Some
in
of
FBS
those coaches
history.
are trash.
Jimbo Fisher and
Jimbo
Dabo
Fisher
Swinney?
was on that list.
Hey. Jimbo,
This was posted in 2023. Scored the most points in FBS history. One of 3 teams to go 15-0 in the playoff era. Beat 5 of 7 of the other top 8 teams by an average margin of 19.6 points. I could keep reading. I think there are.
I don't think you should.
Is there anything else from the LSU side that will help us understand if LSU had the best team of all time?
30. There are 37 reasons. 37 reasons.
We can stop there.
I do like
LSU
that. I do
played
like
the
that.
number
I
1, number 3, number 7, and number 13 ranked scoring defenses that year, and scored an average of 42 points per game against those defenses.
Conrad, we know that
Dude.
scoring defense is not a real stat.
I just read it, and I think it did. I think it is a real stat because I think it's still kept.
Like, if you
Dude,
get to
you're going to tell
Dude,
me
I'm
that
just-
Joe
I'm
Burrow,
just-
Jamar Chase, and would not absolutely tear up this Indiana defense?
they played a roster
Didn't it-
that was just as talented and beat them by almost 40. Dude, I'm not. I don't make,
No,
I'm
Zyler,
not
you
making-
just
I'm
put
not-
Dante Moore as in the same breath as Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow has
Brother,
zero
those are in
Super
2
Bowls.
different stratospheres.
0 Super Bowls.
Hey,
Joe Burrow
I'm
is a fraud.
gonna go make a cocktail real quick. You guys keep chatting. I'll be back in
This
30
is
minutes.
not-
This is gonna go
Not
all
my
night.
computer. I was just saying what the analytics guys were saying. This would be the best team of all time. In the
That is
in the
No.
Well, let's hash it out.
That's what
I'm
I'm
gonna do
saying.
a deep dive. Let's do a deep dive research. We'll get to it. Clay, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say they played Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Smith, and Carnell Tate, and they scored 10 points on this
Yeah,
defense.
that's a good offense. Julian Sayin.
Sayin.
Yeah,
You're gonna-
Our boy. Well,
Again, Jeremy.
are they
Again,
cheating though? That's
Julian,
what I wanted to bring up. Are they
Julian
cheating?
is not even close to Joe Burrow in 2019.
They've got to win. They've still got another game. Let's see. Let's break it after the championship, and we'll compare the resumes then and see what happens. Because Miami, look, everyone's doubted Miami. I'm just saying, like, we thought no way they're going to be A&M in College Station, no way they're going to beat Ohio State. I'm not saying I don't think they're going to beat Indiana, but like, maybe they don't get blown out by 30. Like, no one's picked Miami throughout this run, and here they are. So we'll see what happens, man. Let's give the Natty time, and then we can process the debate. So, all right, well, we might need to get to our Tommy Tubervilles, and maybe one will be that Zyler thinks Indiana is better than 2019 LSU. Conrad, you might have your Tommy here, but I'll go to you first, Conrad.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go to the SEC. It's going to be the third straight year that they do not have a title a participant in the national title game. I guess it just means more.
That's
Short and sweet.
Well said, Clayton.
Yeah, mine is going to be Dan Walken of, I think, Yahoo Sports.
Yahoo.
Yes. So after Tech
Horse
lost
rider.
23-0, yes, to Oregon, he said it's time to consider whether the Big 12 is perpetuating a fraud on college football. Is this collection of schools still worthy of being called a power conference? After Oregon got blasted by Indiana, he tweets, I don't really like the Dan Lanning discourse I'm seeing. Only one team wins the championship, y'all. And even though Indiana is better, Lapoy and Stein both juggling double duty had to have hurt. They both look completely wiped out this week. The double narrative's hilarious. Dan Walken, you were my Tommy of the week.
That's excellent.
That's a good one, man. He was right behind me at the coaches' press conferences in the Orange Bowl there, and he didn't seem like a kind gentleman. I'll just say
Give him
that.
a wet willy, man. Just a little.
I should. Well, if he would have, if I knew what he was going to write, I would have done worse. That's for sure. So, all right, Z, who's your Tommy of the week?
My Tommy. This is a guy that I don't know that has ever been a Tommy. Maybe Clayton, because he's been on this train with me. Jerome Tang, just not doing great things with Kansas State basketball. I think he still has a $16 million buyout. They saved Jerome Tang after his miracle run to the Elite Eight, where they then lost to a 9 seed and didn't make the Final Four. Kansas State is terrible this year. And Jerome said something in the press conference the other day. He said, our guys are out there playing like they don't like each other. And Jerome, I would just ask, whose fault is that?
Yeah.
It's so funny how that just has not worked at all. So Jerome Tang is my Tommy Tuberville of the week.
I can confirm that Clayton did definitely had Jerome Tang last year.
I think I might have given him two,
twice.
actually.
I think he's a two-time winner of the award. Actually,
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going.
Remember when I wanted Tech to hire him?
Yes,
Dude, I was kind of on that train too. So
you guys are very thankful that we did not. I'm going Packers kicker Brandon McManus as my Tommy Tuberville of the week. The dude just straight up cost them the game. I mean, Caleb Williams made exceptional plays, but he had a field goal that he had made. Then they iced him. Then he missed it. He missed a 46-yarder wide right, and he missed an extra point. So that's 7 points from your kicker that even if you just make the extra point, you got a chance to kick to tie the game to go to overtime, even after Caleb Williams made all of those exceptional plays. So he, I think, is a deserving fraud of the week here as our Tommy Tuberville. And yes, Conrad, I will give you your Caleb Williams due.
I'm giving a fifth Tommy. I'm giving one to Brennan, Zyler, Clayton, and several other of our friends for the Caleb Williams hate that has been perpetuated. I won't stand for such things. Dude is an absolute superstar. Some of the throws he made were just like out of this world. The one on 4th and 10, that's probably a top 5 throw in NFL history. Like it was incredible.
it was a great throw. Top 5 in NFL history.
We'd have to revisit that one.
I'll do that this week. I'll look through every throw.
Yeah. Clayton, I need you to go through every single throw.
List.
I need you to go through every throw.
The funniest thing,
list.
I think Conrad's right. Like Caleb Williams is excellent. His like archetype of what a quarterback should be and look like. He has like a very specific type, and then he also has Caleb Williams, which is the funniest thing to me. It's like it's the melding of two worlds, and I
We all
love
have
it.
an outlier, man, in our lives.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. But
Complete
you
opposites. I do want to close this with you guys. I believe one Tommy a couple weeks ago was Josh Allen, Conrad. I believe. I think you had made him your Tommy, and hey, 2 tutties, game-winning drive in the 4th quarter there, first road win to advance the Bills, keep them alive. I don't know. Didn't look like a Tommy Tuberville to me in Jacksonville, but what do I know? I'm just some random podcaster.
Well, you know, Josh is just so thankful he doesn't have to face his kryptonite this year. That's what Josh is really happy about. But he probably still won't win a Super Bowl. So same outcome, different year.
I don't think he will either, but I'm just glad. I'm glad he got to shut up the narrative at least for one more week. So hey, well, we will be back on Thursday unless portal news happens and we need to react. We will be reacting. One thing we're going to start doing as well, too, that we talked about, we'll be going live a little more often. We've had so much fun with you guys in the comments and the chat. So look forward to live shows on Sunday nights moving forward. Not every Sunday, but we'll let you guys know when we do go live on Sunday evenings. But looking forward to that. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube, follow, rate, like, review on Spotify or Apple. And we will see you guys next time on the Broadway Shuffle. Everyone have a great week.
He makes the catch. He's going all the way. 20.